The car market is collapsing.
And General Motors is offering their employees the deal of a lifetime. This is how much they want people to quit. They're offering a year's worth of severance. What? Now, I know probably not everybody's being offered a full year, but they're putting up $1.5 billion to get people to leave. So what would you do if you had a year's salary as a lump sum as you walked out the door? I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but I know what I can do. If you work at GM, you've got 2 weeks to decide. Now, that's enough time for us to find a franchise business that you could have open before your last day of work. And it could likely cost less than the severance GM is paying. It's like they are giving you a business on your way out. So if you work at GM and you just want to know what's possible before you make a decision, leave a comment, send me a message, give me a follow. Let's talk.
Guys, I just landed in Miami, and I also just found out I'm unemployed now, so welcome to my unemployment series. Lesson number 1, while you're still in the workforce, take your vacations, because I haven't taken a long vacation since this entire year, and yet I still got laid off as I was going on vacation, so yeah. For context, I used to work at a big tech company. 3 hours ago, I was still working there, but now I am a free woman. I am in Miami, and I think I might just try out this full-time, unpaid content creator thing for a little bit. So yeah, stay tuned to see what I do in Miami, and here's a fit check. All right, I am super hungry, so it's time to get food.
If you have less than $1 million in assets, please listen to me very carefully. The market right now is down 1,600 points again today. We are not only headed for a recession, but a possible depression. Okay, so what's the next domino to fall when markets crash? Companies are going to start announcing mass layoffs. If you have a job, okay, and you don't have at least $1 million in assets to ride out this wave, please go to your boss and say, is my job secure? And if the company starts to pursue layoffs, what would I need to do to secure my job? Take on other duties, work more hours, do whatever you can, because getting another job to replace the one you lose is going to be extremely difficult in this economic environment. And it doesn't look like it's gonna get better anytime soon. It's getting worse by the hour. Please protect yourself and your family and your job before it's too late.
If you're looking for a job right now, stop. There's no jobs. There's no jobs. There's no jobs for you. There's no jobs for me. There's no jobs for grandma, grandpa, your brother who just graduated from college, your dad who just got laid off because he's 50 years old and his role was told that he was a redundancy and now nobody will hire him because he's 50 years old. There's no jobs. And if you do have a job, guess what? Now you're a contract worker. And as somebody who has worked as a contract worker, let me let you know, you're about to get taxed at a higher rate, friend, because contract workers are taxed higher. Isn't that crazy? And you're going to have to cover your own health insurance. Good luck with that in this healthcare system. Yep. Yeah, no jobs. No jobs. Also, women, don't worry. You don't need a job. Your job now is motherhood. We're all going to have jobs as mothers because that is a full-time job in itself. I really do think that. But do I agree with what they're trying to do where every woman has to have a child? No. That's personally not a job I want. But if you are working that job, good job. You're doing a good job because there are no jobs. No jobs. No jobs.
Ford just reported a $29 million loss for the second quarter of 2025. The same time last year, $1.9 billion profit. That's a wipeout. And the reason? Trump's new tariffs just cost Ford $800 million in one quarter. General Motors took a $1.1 billion hit from tariffs. Their net income dropped 35% from $2.9 billion down to $1.9 billion. Stellantis, the company behind Jeep and Ram and Chrysler, is now forecasting a $2.7 billion loss for just the first half of this year. Even Tesla, which builds most of its cars here in the United States, lost $300 million from its parts tariffs. These numbers aren't theoretical, they hit real people. Ford employs about 86,000 workers in the United States. GM, roughly 94,000, and Stellantis is over 80,000. That's over 250,000 American jobs directly on the line, before you even count suppliers, parts makers, or dealerships. And the kicker? Many of these jobs are in the Midwest. states Trump claims to fight for. But these tariffs aren't protecting American workers, they're punishing them. Because when you slap a 25% tariff on parts from Canada and Mexico, you're hitting companies that build cars in America using North American supply chains. You know who benefits? Foreign automakers that don't rely on those parts. Japanese and European companies are now undercutting U.S. automakers right here on our own turf. This isn't American first, it's American last. And workers are the ones paying for it. If you drive an American car, or work in the industry, or just care about jobs, share this. These tariffs are gutting the industry from the inside out. We need to call this what it is. It's sabotage in a suit.
Let's be realistic. You know why GM is laying off thousands of workers in the United States. Of course, their profits have been high. They want them to stay high. And they're not going to be able to sell GMs in the United States when all of the parts that they need to make them are coming from somewhere with a 10% or 20% tariff on it. Let's be real. It's already happening. Thank you, DJT.
We have some breaking news right now. General Motors is laying off 1,000 of its employees, despite the fact that the company is about to see record-breaking profits this year. No one is talking about this, and it's time we hold big corporations like General Motors accountable. According to the automaker is realigning its priorities in the EV space after the public adoption of EVs has not been as fast as GM once expected. And this is also partially likely due to the fact that the Trump administration is literally cutting the EV tax credit that has provided tax credits to thousands of Americans who have purchased EV vehicles. And this comes after the company let go of another 1,000 salaried employees just back in August. Now, the vice president of the United Auto Workers, the union that represents these auto workers who were laid off, made a statement this morning saying, quote, GM is trying to cut around 50 UAW jobs when they're making record profits. We will fight for our laid off members with the full force of our contract. I think it is absolutely abhorrent that big companies can make record profits, yet still cut salaries, especially at a time where there's a lot of uncertainty over consumer pricing with possible tariffs. And also, it's literally the holiday season. Christmas is coming up, Hanukkah's coming up, and these employees won't have a job because of General Motors. And for the record profits that GM is about to earn is more than $14.5 billion. Let that sink in. Comment below your thoughts. Spread this to your friends, family, and loved ones so that they know what's happening and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Farm equipment maker John Deere is laying off 238 employees in Iowa and 3 different factories, in large part because of Donald Trump's tariffs. Deere says that they have now spent $238 million this last quarter, actually $200 million this last quarter, $300 million this year on Trump's tariffs. And basically they've got to fire people because it's caused too much inflation for them for their products. Now, the way tariffs work, you constantly hear the Trump people say, we've brought in billions and hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from those foreigners. They're lying. They brought in hundreds of billions of dollars from Americans by having the largest tax increase in American history. All you have to do is Google it, and you will see that tariffs are a tax on products that American companies and Americans buy and import into the U.S. What happens is the companies themselves have to pay for the products, and then they have to decide, do they pass that cost along to you and me? What studies have shown is that ultimately they pass about 2/3 of the cost, a little under 66%, to the consumer, which means inflation will go up 66% of the tariff. Trump's average tariff, right now the average tariff is actually around 18%. That means 2/3 is going to be around 12%, so prices are going up 12%. That's kind of quite a lot, guys. But really bad news for farm workers and really bad news across the board for America as inflation starts to rise because of Donald Trump's biggest tax increase in American history.
Okay, the hot girl walk is hitting different today because I woke up to a chat from my boss's boss saying we needed to chat later today. And I was like, I think I'm going to get let go today. And I'll tell you this, there's nothing that feels quite like freedom, because that place was fucking rotten. It was rotten. And I've been needing to quit so bad, and I did not have the balls to quit. Still didn't have the balls to quit. But I literally have had so many different things where I'm like, I really want to do this. I really want to do that. And then I'm like, the way that this job, I freaking hated that job by the end of it. I didn't used to hate it, but I hated it by the end. And I just needed to pay my little student loan bills. That's just what I had to do. But anyway, I'm like taking a hot girl walk. It's really freaking hot outside. But I don't really care because.
So they say about 76% of professionals in 2025 are worried about their job or getting laid off, whether it be whatever reasons, but there is a worry about that.
Which is funny because we have historically low unemployment rates because we're at like what 4%, right? So it's kind of funny that many people are worried about it. But I've seen it too because I have several clients that work for Micron, right? And Micron, I can't remember if it was last year or year before. I think it was last year. Did a huge amount of layoffs. Did a big layoff. And from my understanding, I believe they're getting ready for potentially another big layoff. But at the same time, like I said, you have that 4% unemployment. So it seems like are people worried for the wrong reasons?
I think they're worried because they put in so much into what society tells them that they're offered or what they can offer society. And they go into that position or that industry, right? And then once that industry flips upside down and is like, hey, thank you for your service. You're no longer needed. Good luck. People are like, well, who am I? I just spent 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years at this company. Who am I afterwards? The whole point of this RISE concept is to give people that encouragement of, why don't you just finally do what you have always wanted to do?
I got laid off last December, and the worst part about not having a job is not what most people would think it is. It's not the fact that I am not making enough money. It's not the fact that I don't have anywhere to go. It is the insane guilt that I wake up with and go to bed with every single night. It is the fact that even on a weekend, I feel more relieved because my responsibility to find a job ceases on the weekend, because if nobody else is working on the weekend, then I'm allowed to not have a job on the weekend. But the second Monday rolls around, the guilt is back. The guilt is back. And I don't think enough people talk about this, and it never goes away. And it feels fully like it's your fault, no matter how many times you're applying for jobs, no matter how qualified you are for what you're applying for. Just guilt. I just feel insanely guilty, like I have done something wrong or am doing something wrong. So you can't even enjoy your days off. And I think that just says a lot about our society and the value that we place on working. And don't get me wrong, like I still have side hustles and stuff, right? But it's that guilt of not having that 9-to-5 structure. It's the same way I would feel if I had a part-time job right now with a degree. It's just guilt. It's sick. It's sick, and I wish I could unlearn it. I wish I could not know what it's felt. I've worked every single day since I was like 16 years old. So not having a job feels like I'm letting someone down because of the guilt. And I'm going crazy a little bit, I think. So let me know if you have any recommendations.
Seems like layoffs are everywhere this year, whether it's from private companies or from our government. They are happening everywhere. This is very much a hiring company's economy. They are going to be able to make you a slightly lower offer. They're going to be able to use their power to go, hey, we would like you to go into office. Because there are more people looking for jobs than there are jobs available. Now, unemployment rate is still relatively low, but it is the amount of few people who have those skills to be in those positions that are really what's going to be separating it. So you have to be doing what you can to separate yourself from the competition. Do you have the certifications you need? Do you have, the degree you need if you need a degree? Do you need, any type of professional license? Make sure you have them so you have a step up. Make sure you're adjusting your resume so you have a step up. You need every step up you can take right now in this economy. So start taking them. Start networking. Do the things you have to do. I know you can do it.
I know I have not been on here for a few days, but I've got some updates. I have worked in the city and lived in the country for the last few years. I've been at my job for the last 19 and a half years. And I have just got some information that is going to change my life. Our company is having a surplus in my work group, and they're positioning it as a consolidation. Now, I have been with this company so long that I have done the follow your work kind of thing, which means they tell you we're not going to have this office open anymore, so you're going to need to go over here to keep your job. I've done that. That's how I ended up in North Carolina to begin with, from Augusta, Georgia, where I started. So I had to move for my job before. I know what that's like. In this case, I would have to move across the United States somewhere. Possibly. There's somewhere that's in the South that I could go, but more than likely it would be somewhere else in another region of the United States. And my husband just moved to a new company earlier this year, and I knew it would be a growing situation. So I had his back, obviously. They are building a company in fleet maintenance. He is making really good money. So it would be very hard for us to say, let's leave that job in order to follow your job. So we both make good money. He makes even better money than I do. So I really haven't 100% made my decision yet on exactly what I'm going to do. I have a lot of different options right now, and I'm taking this in a different way than I would have taken it a few years ago. I raised my kids on this job, my 2 older kids. I'm now married and he's got 2 younger kids. So we are raising them as well. It's like doing the whole thing over again, but as like a 2-parent home. And it is a little bit different this time, but I did raise 2 kids on that income, that job, and it was an absolute must that I kept it. In this situation, I am considering options like going to school, like taking a state job. I don't need as much money at this point because I'm not doing this on my own. I don't have a lot of debt to pay off, to be honest. So if you guys want to follow me on this journey, while I am also trying to make money on TikTok Shop, and that's going, I don't know where it's going, but it's going somewhere. I would love to have you guys to talk to about it because right now I'm not really sure how to feel. 19 years, it's like I feel like I'm getting divorced, and the work has supported me when I needed it. The company has been the reason that I've been able to pay bills, put kids through college, and now it's just over. So it's almost like it's an identity that I've lost. And I don't know how many of you are out there who have gone through the same thing, who understand what I'm talking about, who've been at a job for a long time, and all of a sudden it's just not there anymore. So we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. We've just been given the heads up. I actually really appreciate that part of it. A lot of companies won't do that. I feel like my work group is still not sure how they are going to do it because they have to pick, like, who are we going to keep? Who are we going to move? All these different things. We're in 22 different states and they're consolidating us to like 6. They don't know who all is going to decide to move. They don't know who all is going to decide to pick up their family. Also, they're not paying for us to move. If we decide to move as management, we have to do that ourselves. When I was not management with this company, they paid for me to move. They paid for all my stuff to be moved. They paid for me to take trips to check out the new area. They're not doing it at this time. Anyway, please follow along with me. If you're going through something like what I'm going through right now, I really, really would love to hear from you down in my comments. Follow me, and I definitely want to know what kind of questions you have. If you've been through this before, if you're going through this now, I want to see if we can do this together. But stay tuned because I don't know what's about to happen, but we're going to figure this out together. Peace.
I guess Ford Motor Works should have thought twice before they donated $1 million and a bunch of trucks to his inauguration, because now they're reporting a $36 million loss in revenue in their first quarter and an additional cost in tariffs of $2 billion through the rest of this year. Wow. And they have no one but Captain Kankles and themselves to thank for that. Boeing would be another company who has lost an absolutely insane amount of money thanks to him. They donated $1 million to his inauguration as well, and in Q1 reported a loss of $355 million. But there's more. Thanks to his policies, tariff and otherwise, since 2016, Boeing has reportedly lost between $6
and $11 billion. That's okay if y'all never learn lessons, giant corporations. By all means, keep donating money to him so that you can set billions of your own dollars on fire in your backyard. Good times.
I've seen so many times, not every time, but I've seen happen so many times in my 20 years as corporate counsel, is when layoffs happen, it is oftentimes, again, not all the time, the result of decisions made by leadership that had they made different decisions, the layoffs would not have been necessary or would not have been needed. But because they wanted to make a certain decision, they made it. And then guess what happened? It didn't work. Or they weren't paying attention, or they let things slide and they didn't address them quickly enough. So the leadership that is paid the most money in the company makes bad decisions. And then who pays for the bad decisions? It's the people on the lower level of the org chart that get laid off. And oftentimes the leader stays, but even if they don't stay, they get their contracted exit money. I've seen it happen so many times. It's not all the time, but it's a lot of times.
I will be losing my job after September 30th. I don't know if I'm gonna be laid off. I don't know if I'm gonna end up finding something before then within the same realm. But I am not the only one that's gonna be laid off. In my department alone, by the way, before we start, I work for Miami-Dade County, local government. And I just want to bring awareness to what's going on because I don't see this in the news. I don't see this on Google News. I don't see it on the TV, our local news. I don't see this information anywhere. So I had no idea this was coming. We had no idea this was coming. And now we are being faced with being laid off on September 30th. We are expected to get a letter soon, probably within the next 7 days, letting us know our next step, basically, if we're going to be laid off, demoted, with that pay, with the demotion pay, not the pay that we was getting before, or put on part-time or sent here or there. I don't know. When I tell y'all I'm so confused right now, I think I'm hurt more because how confused I am. So all of a sudden, abruptly, I get a notice to come to a meeting. And I didn't make it to that meeting because I was really sick. And I didn't even know it was going to be a meeting. Listen, the meeting was called late at the last minute, like a real true emergency. So it was for the next day though. But I didn't see none of that, so I didn't know anything about it. So the weekend went by and I was told that we had to come to the meeting if we missed the meeting, which was me. So I go to the meeting and I see a bunch of HR people lined up and my bosses, like my big bosses, and I'm looking like, what's going on here? So they go to tell us that we will be impacted by budget cuts. And it's not just we, like our entire department, the entire department. And then I'm not even gonna get on that yet, but the entire department is going to be impacted by budget cuts. So I'm still quiet. So then they say, if you haven't been here for 5 years, you're not invested, whatever the case is, you will be a part of that impact. And just so it's happened, I just left from my teaching career of 6 years to come and work for the local government. And a lot of people might want to say, why did I do that? Whatever. But it was just more free. Like, I don't know. It was something, I wanted a different scenery, so I did what I had to do. I could easily go back to teaching. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do, but I can go back. So anyway, they tell us they're going to put some new positions up there. We can apply. Some of them will be full-time, some of them will be part-time. Make sure that we are eligible not eligible. We're qualified. We are qualified to work those positions. My problem is, it's in my department, they're laying off the managers. In my department, my little division, whatever, they're laying off the managers because the managers are easier to cut and have one manager for several employees at the same location. Like, You know, they see it like, why would you need two managers at the same location when one manager could manage everybody? And I get that. And I agree. Because when I first got there, that's what I thought it was. And then I come to find out it was it was two managers. And I was like, why? And I was over these little group of people, and that person was over the other group of people. So that was just, weird or whatever. But neither here or there, I didn't create the wheel, and I wasn't trying to recreate it because I was involved anyway, right? So all of a sudden, somebody get the bright idea that, yeah, it need to be one manager, and they control all of those people at that location. No shit, Sherlock. But in the process, families, hundreds of families. I'm not bringing this to y'all because it's just me and my little tiny department. That's a total of 50 people, I think, in my department. Salaries being taken alone. And I don't know how much they get paid or whatever, but right there is probably like about $1 million, 1.5 million. And then it's probably way more than that. I said 50, huh? I don't know. But anyway, it's millions of dollars. So by millions of dollars, so that's one department. And they just, when we was asking questions, nobody know why. Nobody know how. And I come to y'all with this, not to only bring awareness, but I like to know how. I like to know why. And to just be abruptly taken from my comfort zone when I wasn't even looking for a job, it bothers me. And I'm wondering, is this even possible? Can you just scream budget cuts and just let hundreds and thousands of programs and employees just go like that? Can you just do that? And who is it to benefit? It's not gonna benefit us in the long run. We already know that. So who is it benefiting? Then I turn around and I do more research all to find out that my county is funding the World Cup next year. And it will really hurt me to find out that I got cut from my job so a motherfucker could play soccer. Now, I'm not saying soccer is not a good sport or none of that. What I'm saying is, if it's not broken, what's there to fix? You gonna cut all these fucking people off, all to turn around and watch soccer and have a cold heart about it? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I had a certain respect for our mayor here in Miami-Dade County until this happened.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to share my 2 cents on the earnings report from General Mills yesterday because there are a few things we can learn from it. They missed on the top line with revenue declining 3% in the quarter and 2% annually. They beat on operating profit and EPS, but at staggering declines. Op profit in the quarter declined 35% and EPS declined 46%. In North America Retail, which is their largest segment, saw their reported net sales decline 10% in Q4. But it's what they mentioned in their guidance that stood out to me. They're expecting their 2026 net sales to be plus or minus 1% and op profit and EPS down between 10% and 15%. So with that expectation on net sales relative to that expectation on op profit, that suggests significant margin erosion. And they cited a, quote, challenging consumer backdrop as one of the primary issues in their business model. But they mentioned something that raises even more questions for me about their potential to achieve even this dismal 2026 outlook. And that is that they expect the growth in the categories in which they compete to be below their long-term projections. So remember, they just closed a year with net sales down 2%. And yet with a challenging consumer backdrop and category growth assumptions below their long-term projections, they are expecting improvement on the top line to plus or minus 1%. And coming off of a quarter where their largest North America unit saw sales decline at 10%. Wall Street didn't like what they heard and the stock has dropped 5%, but I'm not sure that that fully represents the level of risk inherent in these assumptions. What do you think?
2 minutes ago, I was just informed that my role at Microsoft as an event manager has been eliminated. So here's what I'm doing right now instead of panicking. This is not something that's easy to share or admit. I am at my favorite beach spot. I'm going to allow myself a good cry because let's face it, it's hard to go through this process. It's hard to navigate this job market right now. So definitely anxious and worried about what the future of my career will look like. And also there is, part of me that is also feeling a little bit vulnerable and embarrassed even. So I'm speaking that out to really just say that, like, if you're also going through some of these feelings right now, it is normal. I've gone through 3 layoffs now. This makes my 3rd layoff since being in the tech space. So I can say that I'm kind of an expert in the tech layoff experience, unfortunately. I definitely know how to navigate this by now, but it doesn't make this experience any easier. So number 1, good cry. Give yourself at least 24 hours to just process what has just happened. Just cry it out, to feel it, to really just come to an understanding, to really just give myself a moment of compassion. I work really hard. I'm very passionate about what it is I do, and I tend to connect a lot of my identity to the work that I do. And in my industry, I don't think it's completely terrible because I'm very community based, and community is definitely a part of my survival. So I'm not seeing it as a complete red flag. But yeah, I definitely sometimes take things very personally. So, and, just really acknowledging that layoffs are just part of the industry. Unfortunately, with, current tech climate and AI and automations, there's a lot of, ambiguity in navigating this space, and really giving myself compassion as I'm moving through this, is what I'm going to do. It's what I'm going to prioritize, at least for the next 24 to 48 hours. All right. Number 2, leverage your network. I cannot say this enough. Every single job I've had up to this day, including my Microsoft role that I just got laid off from, I have leveraged my network, meaning it was because of someone within my network why I got that connection and was able to land that opportunity. So while someone's immediate reaction or immediate sort of action plan would be to, okay, I'm going to go apply to a bunch of jobs and just throw a shot in the dark and just hope something sticks, I would actually recommend you go through your contacts list, see who, from your family and friends, see who is the obvious, sort of reach out. For all you could be, have someone in your contacts or in your group of friends that, has hiring capabilities or is connected to someone that can get you a referral to a role or at a company that you're really passionate about. So I would recommend going through your contacts, going through your texts, making sure that for success by leaning on your community, not only for, referrals and job support, but also just to be in community. Like, it's so important to not isolate yourself during this process. I really need my community. So I am saying this to you to also say it to myself. Do not isolate. As much as you're gonna be like, nope, I can't hang out. I need to focus on applying to jobs. Do not neglect yourself. Do not neglect your needs. Please, please, please. That is so important throughout this entire process. As far as like paperwork is concerned, just making sure that you have written documentation of or making sure that I have written documentation of my current employment status so that I can apply to unemployment. I made the mistake during my first layoff. I was like, I'm going to land something so quickly. I'll be fine. It'll all work out. I'll be fine. No, do not do that. Do not do that. Even if you think you have something lined up, please grab hold of any resources that are available as you're trying to look for other opportunities. And the reason I say this is not only because we all have bills to pay, there's always going to be a transition period, but also because it helps you not come to the process from a space of desperation. And what I mean by that is if you are, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to eat? Having that cushion of unemployment is going to help you not see opportunities and roles as like a lifeline. It's not your lifeline. Making sure that you're being very strategic with where you're applying, who you're talking to, companies that you're looking to work for. It's also important, and making sure that you have that support that your taxes pays for is so important. Get the unemployment, get the food stamps if you can, get put on Medi-Cal, do what you can to make sure that you can sustain yourself while you're going through the job searching process, because for all we know, or for all you know, it's going to be a process. And that's just the facts of the matter. That is the reality of the industry right now. So set yourself up for success from the jump. I just want to remind you that while the job market is tough, you are capable, you are talented, you are worthy of anything that you set your mind to and anything that you want in this life. And do not sell yourself short. Do not give yourself the opportunity to speak down on yourself because of what is currently happening. You deserve to be in rooms that you want to be in. You deserve to work at companies and in roles that spark joy in you. So I just want to remind you that while we're all going through this process right now, or, if you've gone through this, just know that I am here for you. I would love to connect on LinkedIn. Also going to pitch myself now. I am an event manager. I have been in the event management space for 7+ years. Most recently, the job that I was just laid off from, I was an event manager on the cloud AI, cloud supply chain team, supporting our engagements there. So if you are an event manager that has or if you work in the events industry, or if you know of anyone that is currently hiring or looking for an events expert, an engagement expert, community management, community engagement, all that good stuff, marketing, experiential marketing, I am your girl. Alrighty. I love you guys so much. We've got this. It's going to be okay. I'm going to go have a good cry, but all things considered, I am so blessed. I'm so grateful for this life. I'm so grateful for the gifts that God has blessed me with. And I'm going to get through it.
There are some people in life that are keeping you close because they know that you have a hard time saying no. They know that when it comes to you, it's all love. You have a really hard time setting boundaries, and you're going to be there at their beck and call. So what do? They abuse it, and they abuse you because you are so loving and so kind and so caring that you cannot put your foot down. But they're my family, but we've been friends for so many years. But they make me laugh. Oh, these people know that you're one call away at all times, and that's why they keep you on call. But the question is, when you go through your hard times of life, do they have that same energy? And do you, on some deep level, believe that love is earned? That you need to do something to be loved? That if you do happen to say no, do you believe that they're going to love you the same? Love should be reciprocal, but your self-love should come first. If you cannot do something for someone, regardless of how much you love them, let them know. Let them know, I can't do this thing. I need to sleep in today. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I need to go to the gym today like I said I would. I understand you're going through something, but I have to be there for myself first, because if I'm not, then nobody will be. True love, real relationships are based on honesty and truth. If somebody really loves you, they're going to want you to choose yourself. They're going to want you to prioritize yourself. True love is someone who understands boundaries because they can set them and they can also accept them when it's their time. So if you are that friend that is always saying yes, I urge you to say no. I urge you to stand in your truth and to accept yourself first. Because if you don't, the people around you will not know any other version of you. And that's not their fault, it's yours.
Laid off, lost your job, the bills on pause, rent's due, grocery costs more than you have in your checking account. The government is downsizing like it's a game, and we're here trying to survive. No job, no help, no way out. Guys, the system isn't broken. It was built that way. These 9-to-5 jobs are not built to protect us. They're built to use us. Until you wake up and realize you must put yourself first and take a chance on you, nothing's going to change. Let me show you how to earn income with the device you're holding in your hand right now. 100% profit, $900 daily pay. I made more money in 12-hour workday than some of you made in a 40-hour work week. It's the same system that allowed me to become debt-free and financially independent. If you want to know more about this system, drop me red in the comments below so I can get you this info. God bless you.
The 5 underreported stories that you need to know. Robin DiAngelo, the infamous author of White Fragility, plagiarized several minority scholars in her doctoral thesis, according to a complaint filed with the University of Washington.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Facebook and Instagram banned advertisements for the biopic movie about Ronald Reagan starring Dennis Quaid. The content was flagged as too political for an election year by the social media platforms. Next up, a DC council member named Trayon White Sr. was arrested on federal bribery charges. Trayon allegedly accepted $156,000 in cash payments in exchange for pressuring government officials to extend contracts.
You can't do that.
Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, who just stepped down from his Senate seat after being charged with 16 felony counts of bribery, is reportedly in talks with Biden to negotiate a pardon. This is a two-parter for you. General Motors announced it has laid off more than 1,000 salaried employees. So here's the kicker. Their competitors, GM's competitors, Ford, just scrapped their EV plan because there's no demand from Americans for EVs.
So how should government employees that got laid off in 2025 navigate the new job market that they've just been thrown into? Well, the biggest changes are going to have to be to your resume as a government employee. For anybody that doesn't know, government employees have really long resumes. They want a detailed list of every single duty that you've ever done at every single job. And it's not unheard of to have 4 or 5+ page resumes when submitting to government jobs. So if you're an entry-level applicant, so meaning that you're less than maybe 3 or 4 years experience, you only need a 1-page resume. Everybody else, no more than 2, unless you're an extremely C-level executive, maybe VP, you can go to 3, but 2 is where most people are going to end up. So 2-page resume, and on your resume, the thing that you need to change is instead of listing out your job duties, you need to go to the new resume format of your job listed by bullets with what was the action that you took in the time that you took it in and what was the result. So the action that you took in the time that you took it in and what was the result. So in third quarter of 2024, I enacted a whole new sales structure and it led to X or whatever the action was. And you need to structure your resume to look like that because resumes now are based on results driven metrics. That's what people are looking for. So not just a list of duties because nobody cares what your duties were at that job. We care what skills you have and what results you can get. So next thing that you want to do is to go to your LinkedIn and you want to rearrange things so that not everything is geared towards the government. Yes, you have that experience, but you need to state which practical skills are applicable in the modern job market now. So remember, you're in management, you can cross-pollinate that to any other kind of management. If you're in any kind of marketing, social media, anything, all of those cross-pollinate. But if you're in a very specific job, maybe kind of a niche function, you have to look at the managerial or administrative duties you did and concentrate on those because to a potential employer, yes, it's great that you served our country. Yes, it's great that you have this skill set, but we're really concentrated on what you can do for this current company that you're coming into. So make sure your LinkedIn is set to say, now in the private sector, looking for work here, put the open to work banner out. And if you haven't had to do this before, because it's not the type of skill set that you normally have to do in government jobs, the new way of connecting when you apply for jobs is as follows. You apply for the job, then you immediately message somebody in the company in that hiring vertical. So if it's marketing, sales, HR, whatever it happens to be. So you try to find somebody in the company that you can get directly to and take out the middleman that's in between here. And if you carefully read the job ad, a lot of times it'll say posted by, it'll have the person's name. So if you can't get whose name posted the job ad, go to HR in the company, go to that vertical in the company. So if it's marketing, find a marketing manager in the company, go to that, or go to the higher ups. And what you're going to try to do first is connect with them on LinkedIn. And as soon as the connection request is processed, some happen that day, some take a week, some take a month, whatever it is. When the connection request is processed and then you're connected to that person, then you're going to go back and you're going to say, hey, Bob, notice that you have a marketing manager job. I have some skills that I think are perfect for this role. Here's my cell. And then you could also do an attachment within LinkedIn for your resume. So you're going to try to connect directly there. Remember that if you're not aware of this already, because you have been out of the job market for a long time, there's currently about 60 to 110 people applying per job per week as of May in 2025. So it's absolutely inundated right now with people in tech and in people in government that have been laid off that are looking for work right now. So you really want to concentrate on the connection with people to get there. That's going to be your best way to get a new role. Last little thing is, if your resume is structured any different than this, go back and make the change. And that is that your resume should not have any lines, should not have any symbols, should not have any pictures. Those things can all throw off modern applicant tracking systems. You want it to be plain text with bullets. So any other tips anybody wants to share for people that are coming back into the job market in 2024 in 2025 in a government capacity? Let us know here so we can share them below, get all these people back to work as soon as we possibly can.
Guys, it is brutal out there. Do not quit your day jobs in June. I don't care what's going on, how rough it is, how stressful that job is for you. Unless you have something lined up, do not bounce. Right here, I'm going to post them on the screen. Here are a list of companies, major companies that have announced for June that they intend on doing layoffs. It is not going to get any better anytime soon. I understand you may hate your job, but unless it is a mentally damaging position where it is so toxic that you are just going to harm yourself or it's going to degrade your quality of life, stay in your job. The phrase do not quit your day job has taken on a completely new meaning in this job market.
What did Ross Perot say back in the day when he was running for president? It's the economy, stupid, and it would be a shame if Americans continue to get the truth because they're not getting it from the White House. So in June, 160 companies laid off over 500 employees. In July, 95 companies did. And now in August, 114 companies are laying off. Now, here's the difference. There's always companies laying off, but not by this many companies and not by this many employees. I mean, we're talking a lot of companies are laying off over 8,000 employees. It's disastrous. Some of them 7,000, 8,000 employees. The other difference is when companies laid off in the past before Trump took over, it's just because their product wasn't selling. It was not a popular product or it was bad management. In this case today, it's overwhelmingly because of tariffs and economic uncertainty and people scared to spend money or they don't have the money to spend. It's all due to this administration. So I want you to stick around to the end because there's one company that is struggling that you're going to find incredibly interesting. Companies laying off in August. Ineos ABS, CAM Industrial Solutions, Touchpoint Services, United States Cellular Corporation, Lennox Industries, Pacific Premier Bank, WellPath, Atria Wealth Solutions, Corteva, Prothena Biosciences, Hood Packaging Corporation. When packaging corporations are laying off, that's because other manufacturers have reduced their output. They've reduced how much they're manufacturing, so they don't need the packaging anymore either. Microsoft, JCPenney. Microsoft already has been laying off, but now this is August, a whole nother round of layoffs. Central Valley Training Center, Stevens Distributing Company, distributors of products. People aren't buying, manufacturers aren't producing as much. Farms don't have the output because they don't have the workers, so you don't need as many truckers hauling things. It's really bad. DAI Global, Morgan Truck Body, Ray's Coca-Cola Bottling, L&T Precision, Orlicon Balzers Coating, Georgia Pacific, they manufacture so many different products in our grocery store. Sutro Biopharma, Boston Scientific Corporation, Mission Linen Supply, Cam Industrial Solutions, Highgate Hotels. Of course, the travel industry has taken some of the largest hits. People aren't coming to the United States anymore. CVS. This is after Rite Aid pretty much had to shutter all of their stores. ACDI, Michael Stores Procurement, which is scary because they already shut down all the Joann fabrics. Insight Diagnostics, JP Morgan Chase, Leidos Holdings, Sampango Incorporated, Vertex Pharmaceuticals, SWAT Fame, The Mutual Group, Sodexo, Del Monte Foods, Movate, Discovery Energy, INOAC Exterior Systems, Accelerate 360 Distribution, Nutgale Gear, First Student, Paramount Global, BioNTech, Need It Now delivers. More delivery companies, transportation companies. Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse, Pixel Specialty Solutions, Wells Fargo, they had already been laying off. Harpoon Henry Seafood Restaurant. A lot of these chain restaurants overwhelmingly donated to Donald Trump, and people can't afford to go out to eat anymore. Kira Services, Kira Government Services, Kira Services LLC, Southeast Services Corporation, Robert Kaufman, Randstad, United States, Tech Systems, Severoli Foods, Tyson Foods, Hypro, Transit Management of Volusia County. These freight companies, I'm telling you, they're the canary in the mine. Stingray Pressure Pumping, Gillian Sciences, Target, Transaxle, Nordstrom's, Albertsons, Randall Store, Adra International, Lightspeed Logistics, Miami, Advanced Drainage Systems, Encino Energy, JCPenney's of Maryland, Milwaukee Forge, a metal manufacturer. The tariffs are supposed to be helping bring business to these companies. Planned Parenthood, Amazon Fresh, McDonald's, Koros, Oxford Social Club, Musi Tenchapi, NASCO Education, Social Distribution, Walmart again, BLST Operating Company, LPL Financial, CRST Expedited, another distribution company, transportation company, Whitson's Food Service, Milgard Manufacturing, Columbus Regional Health, Joe's Crab Shack, Goldman Sachs, Prineville Facility, Design Group, Red Lion, Postino Foods Company, IG Design Group, Bowhead Mission Solutions, International Business Machines, Accenture, Rogue Valley Transportation, Activision Blizzard, Science Systems and Applications, Management and Training Corporation, Pour Lasoins, Northwest Offset Printing, Santa Maria Hotel, TT Electronics Facility, Ford Design Studio, NYP Holdings, Sunoco Products, DHL, again, OTG Management, U.S. Cotton. A lot of these companies in here are food distributors, and they're laying off. And that's a big warning as well, because there's less groceries in the grocery store, if you've noticed, empty shelves, because our farmers, their workers have been deported. They're scared to show up. It fucks up the whole system, and people can't afford to go out to eat anymore. You see, these restaurant chains are affected, and these restaurant chains purchase from food distributors, and these distributors are laying employees off. This is like really bad. Now, I told you there'd be a company at the end you'd find very surprising. We haven't begun to talk how Trump's tariffs have affected these companies that have locations in other countries. Other countries are being impacted by layoffs because of Donald Trump. One of them is Lesotho. They're an African company, and they make Donald Trump's golf shirts, the embroidered golf shirts. Their employees only get paid $160 a month. I thought he was about bringing manufacturing back to America. Why the fuck are all his products made through slave labor? But they're being impacted by tariffs. So their hard-working employees, their hours have been cut in half. They're working 2 weeks out of the month instead of a whole month, thus only earning $80 a month. And a lot of these employees are women who are supporting children, feeding their children because of this paycheck. So there you go. Making America great again.
Look, I don't know if you all paying attention, TikTok family, but if you're watching the news and you care about what's going to happen to you, and we know TikTok has all these great things and tools, ebooks and all of this shit and whatnot, quick, easy schemes that they say is so easily to get all this extra money. But if you look and you pay attention, April mass layoffs, I was a part of that. Microsoft laid off 9,000 jobs. This is tech as well, HR and other different positions. Now they're finally officially attacking federal workers. What the hell you think is going to happen? So everybody's supposed to stay in the dark? No assistance? People who worked, paid taxes, did what they were supposed to do. And so now with this narcissistic regime that we have in office and his little booty lickers of America at his wheel, we're screwed. Now I know we did the boots on the ground. We, black folks, we know how to make it. But this is a different time. This is a different situation. And I'm not saying that we need to scramble and, oh my God, and panic. No, what I'm saying, we have to be strategic in what we do. We're gonna have to learn to get together and plot and save and put whatever we can, because I'm telling you, it's gonna become a time when you better have your paperwork in order. You better have passports. I'm trying to get my stuff together because we don't know. Well, we know God reigns. We know our daddy above. We know what to do, but still, you still got to do the work. And so as I'm reading the news and I'm thinking, like, we got all this bickering and shit on TikTok and all this other stuff on social media across the, board of the platforms. And I get it. We want to laugh, have fun, but bitches, you paying attention? Are you really paying attention to what's really out here? Are you really following? Now, if you got a corporate position, you making great money. I used to be at that point, but shit, I'm here now. And so if you don't plan and having some type of general income other than what your salary is bringing in, it's hard. It's going to get hard out here. So I just want to bring awareness. I know I've talked about a lot of things just for me on my page and my niche and all that, or niche. But the reality is kicking in. Like, this shit is different. It's a different time of system that we're in. So we need to start paying attention and focus on unity and checking up on each other, because everybody ain't okay. Y'all take care. God bless.
I'm just going to say the numbers does not shock me, because the Biden-Harris administration has allowed people to get comfortable doing nothing. Washington, just reported at least 20,000 federal employees have accepted the buyout offers President Trump made to the entire federal workforce before Thursday's deadline, a White House official said. That represents about 1% of more than 2 million federal employees, below the White House goals for 5 to 10% accept buyouts. But the White House officials said the numbers of deferred resignation is rapidly growing, and the White House expects the largest spike in signups to come 24 to 48 hours before the deadline. Again, all this tells me is that you weren't qualified and you did nothing, and you were taking this buyout because it was an easy way out, because you were not qualified from the beginning. That's all that says to me.
I really don't think people understand what is coming over the next 18 months, especially if you're working in corporate America. If that's you, you might want to save this video for later, and please share it with a friend who's working in corporate. We are seeing what they are calling the great restructuring. And essentially, it is consolidation of people and humans within an organization as they blend with technology. It basically means that companies are looking to get rid of irrelevant job titles, job roles. They're looking to get rid of these massive teams that don't get anything accomplished for 3 or 4 years. I've spoken to so many people who have been laid off over the last 2 to 3 years, and I've noticed something. The bigger the company they are at, the less impact they actually have, which makes their resume really, really hard to work. I will get people who share with me projects they've worked on where they've been one of 20 people. If you're in a role like that, it's really hard to define the value that you're bringing to the company you're working at. And it also means you are primed to be consolidated. You see, companies are making decisions of how they blend humans with AI and technology. They are trying to get as much as they can done with the least amount of people possible. Microsoft just announced mass layoffs, and we are going to continue to see companies do this during the great restructuring. So if you're working for a big corporation, you've been warned.
Breaking news. If you have not heard, 247,000 Americans have filed for unemployment. You heard me correctly, 247,000 Americans. But the bad news is that there are 130 companies that are going to be laying off thousands of people in June alone. Ohio, California, so many states are doing mass layoffs. It is predicted we are going to have a recession by the second quarter. If you are not planning for a recession, you should be. Please get your finances in order. You need to cut back on spending. Please don't buy anything major right now, especially due to tariffs. And make sure that you are cutting back or eliminating on any expenses that you have and that you can. An emergency savings of 3 to 6 months in a high yield savings account. Let's prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Drop a comment and follow for more.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.